Chapter 6, Mass Mediums. Will they bring the teeming masses to your practice? The next couple of chapters will introduce you to just about every kind of marketing medium you can use to promote your dental practice. In the course of our experience in helping dentists promote their practices, there are very few marketing mediums that we haven't experimented with, different designs, quantities, and messages, and evaluated results. Temporary tattoos might be one area we haven't done much with as a marketing channel. Skywriting might be another. But for the most part, there are very few promotional possibilities we haven't explored. We're going to start by covering the mass mediums, including television and radio, because these are the marketing mediums that many dentists want to try first. They are held in very high regard among most dentists because they seem to offer a greater impact and reach than the other types of media, such as online marketing or direct mail. And quite frankly, television and radio have a certain glamour factor that's hard to resist. Who doesn't want to be on TV? It's instant celebrity, right? But will mass mediums really deliver the kinds of results that justify those high price tags? Are they really the right way to go for your practice? In this chapter, we'll explore each of these mediums, billboards, yellow pages, radio, and television, and give you an overview of the advantages and disadvantages associated with each one. We're not ad reps or sales managers. We don't earn a commission by persuading you to use one type of marketing medium over another. We're not here to convince you to use this and not that. We're independent marketing professionals, and we're here to provide you with an unbiased, unvarnished appraisal of each medium's advantages and disadvantages so that you can make an informed decision about which one will work best for you. We'll show you what costs are involved, what the risks are, and what the rules are for getting the most out of each medium. You know that expression, you have to know the rules before you can break them? Well, we'll teach you the rules for each medium so that you can follow them or break them intelligently. Once you get to the end of these next two chapters, we will have downloaded years of marketing expertise into your head, and you'll have the knowledge you need to be able to make smart decisions about which mediums are right for your practice. Now, let's take a close look at the four types of mass media: yellow pages, billboards, radio, and television. The yellow pages, advertising powerhouse or lumbering dinosaur? At one time, the yellow pages were the most popular form of advertising among dentists, and many continue to spend advertising dollars on this medium. However, when we give live presentations, we make a point of asking the audience, how many of you use the yellow pages when you need to find a product or service? Almost no hands go up. The truth is, the advertising potential of the yellow pages has been dwindling steadily over the last many years. That's because more and more people are turning to the internet search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing to search for what they need. In a recent dental trade journal, we equated investment in yellow page directories as being the willing passenger on the Titanic. As marketing professionals, we believe the yellow pages have had their day. They're on borrowed time, and throwing good money after bad is pointless. But does that mean you shouldn't ever consider the local yellow pages as a marketing medium for your practice? No. But it does mean that you need to question your participation in this dwindling medium and ensure that it's just not nostalgia or inertia that's keeping you there. We have seen dentists act as though canceling their yellow page ads is like saying goodbye to an old friend. But if your friend keeps mooching money off you and never bothers to pay you back, how good of a friend are they anyway? The fact is that these days, the yellow pages should really only be considered by a very specific type of practice. Is it right for yours? Read on. We have a golden rule about which dental practices should and shouldn't advertise in the Yellow Pages. Here it is. If you can get into one of the first 6 positions in your dental section for less than 30% of your marketing budget, advertising in the Yellow Pages could be a good strategy. Please keep in mind that there are areas in the country that are served by 2 or more Yellow Page directories. You must be able to cover the first 6 positions in all the Yellow Page directories that serve your area for less than 30% of your annual marketing budget. Now, in the cases of some rural, semi-rural, or even suburban practices, this might be feasible. But following this rule will automatically eliminate the Yellow Pages as a viable marketing medium for practices in any of the major metropolitan areas. Why? Buying Yellow Pages in these areas will use up more than 30% of your marketing budget, guaranteed. Unfortunately, dilution has also weakened the effectiveness of the Yellow Pages. Here's how dilution works. Say you're in a suburban location. 20 years ago, there may have been only a few dentists in the directory in your town. Today, there could be 30. And instead of 1 directory, there are now 3. So each year, you are competing against more and more dentists. And if your budget only stretches to an ad in 1 of the 3 directories, you're only reaching a third of the population or less. Nobody's reaching for all 3 directories to look for a dentist. So the luck of the draw dictates whether someone will pick up the one you're listed in. Now your reach into the community is seriously diluted. And it's the same scenario in urban centers, only on a much larger scale. So while your ad may have offered a good return on investment 20 years ago, the returns are shrinking each year. Interesting fact. If there are 3 directories, there are 3 directory sales representatives that will all tell you they enjoy 80% market share when trying to sell you another annual contract. This is called Yellow Page ad sales representative math. If you're currently spending your marketing dollars on Yellow Page advertising, make sure it's actually paying off. Track the number of new patients and new revenues the ads are responsible for. See Chapter 11 for information on how to accurately track returns on your marketing investment. If you're not seeing a good return on your investment in the Yellow Pages, cancel the ad and put your money into something that offers better returns. And a note on canceling. Those directory representatives will not be pleased to hear you're jumping ship. Perhaps this is what dentists hate most, having to say no to a directory representative. The reps will try and sell you listings on the Yellow Page website. If this sounds intriguing to you, please, before you make any decisions, read Chapter 9 of this book. In a nutshell, you do not need to rely on a Yellow Pages website to establish a strong web presence. You'll get more bang for your buck, guaranteed, by using your marketing budget to create and market your own website. Trust us on this. Those online Yellow Pages are a colossal waste of money. If you decide that ads in the print versions of the Yellow Pages are a valuable element in your overall marketing plan, take a look at this successful ad. And right here, there's an ad on page 60 in the printed book that will show you what a successful Yellow Page ad looks like. Billboards, marketing to the masses. Billboards can be a great way to get your message across to a large number of people, but it's also one of the trickiest to use effectively. You only have a few words and usually a single image to grab people's attention and inspire them to act. So if you don't understand the medium thoroughly and don't know how to use it, you might as well throw your money away. Billboards are both a direct response medium and a branding medium. This means that we would expect people to call directly or visit your site after seeing your billboard. But billboards can also help you gain familiarity and recognition with the consumer, so that even if they don't reach out right away, It will increase their receptiveness in the future. They will be more likely to open a piece of direct mail from you, for instance, or will be more likely to call after seeing your ad in the newspaper or on television. Billboards are also very useful in driving traffic to your website. That's why the web address is now the most important piece of information on your board, more important than the phone number, and that's why it must be easy to remember. Here are some tips for getting the most out of your billboard ad. Ensure the billboard is located very near your practice. If you're in the eastern part of Dallas, you don't want to put up billboards in the western section. It's too far away. Choose a billboard positioned on a street or highway with a high volume of traffic. Since you only have a few seconds for the reader to see, let alone understand your message, the message must be crystal clear. Similar to other mass mediums like radio and TV, you cannot tell the whole story of the practice on a billboard, so don't try. Instead, focus on one message at a time and change the message every 3 months. Consistency is the key to establishing brand recognition, so keep the logo and the URL consistent on each different version of your billboard. Only the message and visuals should change. Choose a single, unambiguous, and strong benefit to feature each time you run a billboard. Make sure you use an easy-to-remember phone number. Nobody will remember a string of numbers even a few seconds after the billboard has flashed past. Use a number like 777-SMILE. Never include an email address or fax number on the billboard. No one will remember them, and they just add confusing clutter. Don't include the practice address. It takes up too much space. Always include a URL. It's the most important piece of information, more important than the phone number. Everyone knows that www precedes a web address, so just omit that. If you plan to make billboards a part of your marketing strategy, choose a URL that's as short and easy to remember as possible, and make your URL more readable by capitalizing the keywords. Here's an example. Say your URL is Marin Family Dental with M, F, and D capitalized. That's good. Here's a bad example. www.marinmedicalcenter.com/Dr. McKenzie-DDS. No, don't do that. Our good buddy, Dr. Mike Barr, employs the radio test for URLs. He says a person should be able to remember your URL just by hearing it on the radio without writing it down. That's good advice. One thing you may not realize that is very useful is using alternate URLs. As an example, let's say your URL is www.smiledentistomaha.com. Let's say you have a billboard and you want to place an extremely easy-to-remember URL on the billboard. The area code in Omaha is 402. An effective URL for a billboard in Omaha might be 402smiles.com. This is a perfect URL to redirect to your normal website. It is short, it is very memorable, and it is very familiar because everyone driving by understands that the area code is 402. An added benefit is being able to statistically quantify the number of human beings that went to this URL after seeing your billboard. If you track it, you will know for certain, after a period of time, if your billboard design and location are driving traffic to your main website. Below are some examples in the printed version of the book that show you examples of good billboards, ones that we designed for McKinneyDentist.com down in the Dallas area. Now we're going to look at radio. Radio has a solid potential, but it's not for everyone. Radio can be a very effective medium to promote a dental practice. It's also one that, along with television, many dentists are eager to try. Choosing radio as a marketing vehicle is tricky. On one hand, in some markets, it can be a tremendous vehicle through which to breed familiarity with your practice or even a specific procedure that you provide in your practice. The reality is there are too many variables involved with determining whether radio is right in your particular market, in your particular situation, for us to be accurate in our recommendations for your personal dental practice. However, we can offer some guidelines and some special situations where we have seen radio do quite well. Let's discuss the most common scenario: a solo dental practice that has been in existence for 10 years with a marketing budget of $50,000 per year. If you're interested in advertising on the radio in this situation, what we want you to answer are the following questions. Do you currently have a well-designed website in place? That's a must. Do you regularly send out direct mail pieces? Do you conduct internal promotions and/or offer a referral program? Do you regularly advertise in the print media, such as the local newspaper and/or magazines? Have you had a marketing budget and a marketing plan in place for more than 3 years? Does your practice earn a minimum of $1.5 million in revenues per year? Are you in a position to take a risk with your marketing budget? If you answered no to a single one of these questions, we would advise you against getting into radio. Our reasoning is thus. Number one, if you haven't fully explored internet, direct mail, internal, and print media, you're not going to see much benefit from radio. We get into the specific reasons for this in Chapter 6, but essentially, there is a proven ideal sequence in which you should deploy the various types of mediums. Skipping straight to radio is just a waste of money. Number two, if you are new to marketing, you have many more effective options available to you before advertising on the radio. Radio advertising should be added to an already mature campaign that already includes the marketing media described in point number 1 above. Number 3, if your current revenues are below a certain amount, you will simply not have the budget to sustain an effective radio ad campaign. We'll be talking about frequency and reach below and showing you why skimping on a radio advertising budget is the worst thing that you can do. Now, if you do meet all the criteria for radio advertising or you want to look into it for the future, here are some pointers to help you use this medium to maximum advantage. Edit. Now, if you do meet all the criteria for radio advertising or you want to look into it for the future, here are some pointers to help you use this medium to maximum advantage. Applying your initial budget. Let's stay with our example practice and look at a reasonable radio budget. Let's say your radio budget is 40% of your total annual marketing budget. Should you divide your radio budget by 12 months? Probably not. We're going to give you a different perspective. We know, and you need to understand before going into radio, that radio is the type of medium that works best with a concentrated number of exposures. Therefore, if you took your total radio budget and spread it out over 12 months, you would likely give up on your radio campaign prematurely simply because you did not accumulate enough exposure to begin to generate your desired returns. Here's the reality. Radio works best with a concentration of impressions that is higher than most dentists' budgetary tolerance. Choosing right radio stations. We strongly recommend that you hire a media planner or media buyer to help you select the right radio stations for your radio ads. Media planners and buyers are marketing professionals who specialize in understanding a specific station's market profile and helping you determine the best use of your budget to effectively reach as many of the right people as possible. It's a fairly complex set of skills, which is why we, as marketing professionals, employ these specialists all the time when one of our clients needs to launch a radio marketing campaign. A media buyer or planner has access to analysis data that people outside the profession just don't have, and they know how to interpret the data to make excellent decisions. Because they buy ad space in bulk for a range of clients, they also have buying power that you, as an individual, just can't match. Most radio stations are owned by one of 5 big media conglomerates. A national media buyer pools all of their airtime buys and can typically get better rates from the big media company. However, if you're determined to manage your media by yourself, or if you're just curious about what factors are involved in the decision-making process, here are some considerations. Footprint. The radio station tower should service your entire core market, a 10-mile radius around your practice. If it does not service your entire core market, consider a different radio station. Conversely, the footprint can be too large. If your core area is a small suburban Atlanta community, you don't want to run spots on a station that broadcasts to the entirety of Fulton County. Programming demographics. The station you select must serve the exact demographics you're looking for. For most dental practice, this would be females between the ages of 25 to 54. More broadly, you're looking for adults over the age of 30 with a tendency toward higher earning power. A local dominant talk radio station would be a good choice to interview first. A conservative talk radio station would also be a good choice. In a downtown business district, a business news station might be a good choice. If your area has no talk radio, conservative talk radio, or business news radio broadcasts, you are stuck with the music genre as a selection criterion. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but don't let your own personal taste get in your way. Easy listening, soft rock, and classic 70s and 80s, those are all good choices for your target demographic. Budget allocation. If you are going to invest in radio, plan to allocate $2,000 to $5,000 per month to make your mark in most U.S. markets. This is where a professional media buyer or planner will more than earn their commission by providing you with superior purchasing power for your budget. The anatomy of a perfect radio ad. Let's say you've decided that radio is the right medium for you. You've hired a media planner or buyer, hopefully, and you're confident that you found the radio station or stations that target your demographic and geographic needs. Now you're ready to craft the perfect ad. What does it look like? Is it funny and wildly creative and super cool? I'm sorry, no. The perfect ad is actually very formulaic. We regret to inform you that developing a radio ad for your dental practice will not be the most creatively fulfilling experience of your life. However, after years of developing successful radio ad campaigns for dentists across the country, we can say that this formula has been tested and proven to provide the least risk. Here's what a perfect radio ad looks like for dentists. Number 1, the spot needs to be a testimonial or endorsement delivered by the most popular radio personality the station has during the 2 drive times, morning or afternoon. Number 2, this personality must also be a patient of the practice or at least have visited the practice and experienced it in some fashion, so it can be an actual personal endorsement. It must be authentic. You can't fake this, and you don't ever want to fake anything in advertising. Number 3, the ad run must consist of 4 or 5 different spots each focusing on a different aspect of the practice's service and a different customer benefit. For example, sedation, metal-free dentistry, implants, 2-visit makeovers, and metal-free braces. The spots will rotate so that they all get airtime. Rotating a range of services like this will help you cast a wider net, whereas focusing exclusively on teeth whitening, for instance, will narrow your appeal and eliminate too many listeners. Number 4, each spot will have the same opening and the same closing. For instance, each will begin with, "Hi, popular personality here to tell you about my personal dentist, Dr. Sherry Smith of Smith Smiles in Boca Raton." The end might be a URL and a jingle. The identical parts of each spot create a sense of familiarity and increased recognition among your listeners over time. Number 5, any music or jingles used will be identical across all spots in the ad run. Number 6, the script will contain a maximum of 175 words. A human can normally speak about 175 words during a 60-second spot. This word count applies whether there are 1 or 2 or more speakers. This means that you have to severely edit your radio spot script to exclude unnecessary words. The word allocation will look like this: 35 words for the radio personality's opening endorsement, 100 words description of one service and its benefits to the consumer, 35 words closing statement with URL and phone number. Number 7, the intro will say something like, "How would you like to have beautiful straight teeth in just 6 months instead of 2 years? Hi, I'm Ted Jones, here to tell you about my personal dentist, Dr. Sherry Smith of smithsmiles.com. Number 8, the middle will say something like this: "Did you know that today's new metal-free braces give you straight teeth in a fraction of the time conventional braces used to? Imagine having a smile you can be proud of in just 6 months' time. Plus, you'll look and feel great during treatment." Number 9, so the closer will say something like this: "So if you want straight teeth in just 6 months, call Dr. Sherry Smith at 444-4444 today. That's 444-4444, or on the web at smithsmiles.com. Number 10, don't make the reader of the script say www.practicename. Saying www. Waste 5 words. Everyone knows that website URLs begin with a www, so don't put that in the script. Simply say practicename.com. Number 11, each of the numbers in the phone number is a spoken word. If you happen to be located in an area that has only one area code, you could safely delete it, which saves you 3 words. Actually 6 or 9, depending on how many times you repeat the phone number. Here are some sample radio scripts that we put together for our clients over the years, and they've all been very successful. This first one is about CAD-CAM. It's a 60-second radio spot, and it goes like this. Does the idea of having to get a crown make you cringe? It did for me, but not anymore. Hi, Mike Jones here to tell you about my personal dentist, the wonderful folks at Smith Family Dentistry here in Greenville. When I needed a crown, I used to think, oh no, gagging on all that gooey stuff, wearing temporary teeth for weeks, making a second appointment to get the permanent crown, and then what if it doesn't fit right? There's got to be a better way. Well, there is. At Smith Family Dentistry, they create your permanent crown right in the office. There's no gagging on that awful impression material. It's all done with a sophisticated computer program, and there's no waiting. It all gets done in one visit. If you need a crown, and nearly everyone will sooner or later, call my personal dental office, Smith Family Dentistry, 210-977-2222. That's 210-977-2222. My family, we won't go anywhere else. Open 5 days a week. Check them out on the web at smithfamilydentistry.com. All right, here's another one. This is about implants. Again, it's 60 seconds with a local popular radio personality called Mike Jones. Do you hate your dentures? Do you have one or more missing teeth? Hi, Mike Jones here with some good news from my personal dentist, the wonderful folks at Smith Family Dentistry here in Greenville. You know that everyone who has dentures hates them. Denture wearers can't really taste their food and can't eat many of the foods they used to enjoy. But with modern dental implants, you can get rid of your dentures forever and start enjoying the foods you love. Dental implants are a replacement for missing teeth. They can replace one tooth or many, and they look and function exactly like natural teeth. They can even be used to firmly lock dentures in place so they don't slip. Want to replace missing teeth or even throw your dentures away? Call my personal dental office, Smith Family Dentistry, at 210-977-2222. That's 210-977-2222. My family, we won't go anywhere else. Open 5 days a week. Check them out on the web at smithfamilydentistry.com. Here's another sample radio ad. Sedation Dentistry at 60 seconds. Again, with the very popular local radio personality, Mike Jones. Hi, Mike Jones here. Do you hate going to the dentist? I did, but not anymore. The reason? Conscious sedation dentistry. Conscious sedation dentistry is for people who are afraid of the dentist. You can find it at my personal dentist, the wonderful folks at Smith Family Dentistry. Friends, this is simple. I took a little pill, and within minutes I was so relaxed. But I wasn't knocked out. I knew what was going on the whole time, but I never felt a thing. Now, maybe you aren't afraid of the dentist. Maybe you're just too busy to keep going back appointment after appointment. Well, even years of dental neglect can now be corrected in one visit. If you hate going to the dentist or you just want to get all your dental care done in one visit, call my personal dentist, Smith Family Dentistry, at 210-977-2222. That's 210-977-2222. My family, we won't go anywhere else. Open 5 days a week. Check them out on the web at smithfamilydentistry.com. Television, a big-ticket medium with a sizable potential. There is no medium in the history of Western civilization that has had more of an impact on buying decisions than television. Most of us can still remember television commercials from our childhood. Maybe it was Clara Peller asking us, "Where's the beef?" or Bartles and James standing out in their field, or even Mr. Whipple asking us not to squeeze the Charmin. Even if we haven't seen these commercials in many, many years, most of us can still picture them in our mind's eye. And whether we buy the company's product or not, we maintain a strong sense of familiarity with it. Given the power that television commercials continue to have over us, it's no surprise that many of us want to harness that power and get it working for our businesses. And for many businesses, a good TV commercial can have a tremendous impact on brand recognition and ultimately sales. However, it's not a medium for the faint of heart or light of wallet. Purchasing airtime for a television ad campaign can be an expensive proposition. And before you start shelling out for airtime, you may be looking at an even bigger expense, the development of the ad. As with radio, we counsel our clients to establish themselves in other mediums first, such as online marketing, direct mail, and print, before considering a television ad campaign. In most cases, you just won't see good returns on television advertising unless you have a robust, well-established marketing plan that has been in place for a few years. In terms of deployment progression, television is the marketing medium you will break into last, after online marketing, after direct mail, and after various forms of print media. The reality is that in most U.S. markets, the over-the-air television ad rates, for instance, those of your local ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliates, are likely to be far beyond your available budget. But cable television is a viable promotion medium for a dentist. If you are ready to invest in a television ad campaign, you'll need to put some careful thought into the creative content for the ad. Without a clear, compelling message and a memorable creative concept, your ad is likely to be lost in the general noise that people can now easily silence with a click of the remote. So what do you need to develop a strong creative concept and a great and memorable ad? Well, a lot. To begin with, you need a concept capable of communicating the essence of what you do and why someone should care in 30 seconds or less. That alone is a spectacular challenge. Now, maybe you're the Steven Spielberg of dentistry, but you may want to leave the development of the creative concept to a professional ad agency. Then you'll need to flesh out the concept with a good script, hire actors or a professional voiceover actor, and find a competent audio and video company to shoot and edit the spot. When larger companies consider television advertising, the creative work and production is usually far less expensive than the airtime that they will be purchasing. However, most dental practices will not have a big budget, and deploying a large amount on production and creative could result in the campaign not even getting off the ground. You could save some money by writing the script yourself and getting your local cable company to come out and do the shoot for you inexpensively, but the results are often amateurish and ineffective. That's not to say it isn't possible to shoot a good commercial this way, but you need a strong, memorable concept, professionally executed, to help you break through the clutter on TV and leave an impression in viewers' minds. If your creative stinks, it doesn't matter how many TV spots you buy, you're just going to be throwing money away. That's not to say that a television ad is always a bad idea. Some dental practices have seen tremendous returns from their television advertising campaigns. But you need to go into this type of marketing with your eyes wide open, both in terms of the costs involved and in terms of the return you expect to see. Here are some key considerations when considering a television ad and making an ad buy. Television footprint. Make sure your ads will be seen throughout your core geographic market, and with cable television, watch for what is called market fragmentation. An example of market fragmentation might be when two large cable companies each service your core market. In this case, you would have to make two media buys with two different cable companies. In order to afford both buys, you would need to purchase half the volume on each station, which dilutes your frequency. You would also be paying a higher rate for each buy, because you're purchasing smaller amounts from each vendor. Even worse, you will probably be buying broadcast coverage that extends beyond your target area, which means you're wasting a portion of your ad budget on reaching people who won't use your services. Television programming. As with radio, you will want to focus on getting airtime on channels that cater to a female demographic aged 25 years and above. In this regard, television is much simpler than radio. It's easy to tell a cable advertising rep, we want our ads to run on Lifetime, Soap Channel, the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, and HGTV. Television scripting. When you promote on cable TV, the TV production crew will generally come out to your practice, do an interview with you, and perhaps film a patient testimonial or two. These crews are knowledgeable professionals, but they can still make a few mistakes. Here's some stuff to look out for. Make sure they don't film in an operatory, as dental chairs in an operatory actually evoke a fear response in many dental consumers. There's nothing to gain and everything to lose if you show a dental operatory. If you have a lovely practice and a warm, inviting reception area, restrict the filming to those areas, or shoot the ad off location in some attractive, neutral space. As with radio, you won't have enough time to tell the whole story of the practice. Choose instead to showcase a limited number of benefits, perhaps 2 or 3 at the most. Focus on the aspects of your practice that your target audience would be most interested in and those that differentiate you from other dentists. If you welcome families with kids, you'll want to say that. If a benefit of your practice is that you do everything under one roof so the patients won't have to be referred out, then say that. Maybe you're open on Saturday. That's a huge benefit for a working family. So in this example, you've got 3 benefits to promote. Don't try to do too much more than that. A very workable approach is to shoot multiple advertisements that each highlights 2 or 3 different services or benefits. Then you rotate the spots just like you do with radio. Why your tight budget might stretch to a television ad campaign. It's getting harder and harder to put together an effective ad campaign on the television because there's more and more of it. Notice how the channels just keep proliferating and fragmenting. Well, the audience is fragmenting too, and globalizing, which makes it harder and harder to find the right pairs of eyes for your television ad. Fortunately, the same forces that are creating thousands of different channels are also creating new opportunities for local businesses looking for worthwhile television advertising opportunities. Television advertising crisis equals small business opportunity. Television has been undergoing some pretty seismic changes in the past 30 years. Cable TV originally started in places like the Appalachian Mountains in order to help people get better television reception. Back in the early 1980s, when networks like ESPN, MTV, and CNN were launched, it wasn't even known if these companies could survive. By 1988, it seemed that these networks were going to make it, and the viewership looked something like this. Broadcast television, for the daytime, 76.9%. In primetime, 78.8%. Ad-supported cable networks like CNN, 13.8% daytime, 11.6% primetime. Pay TV, Showtime, HBO, 9.3% daytime, 9.6% primetime. Cable grew steadily over the years, and today ad-supported cable television has a stronger viewership than any other type of programming source. The following chart shows television viewership by programming source. You can see for yourself in the chart on the next page. And on page 73 in the written book, there's a long chart that shows you the dominance of cable television and the bad news for small advertisers. First, the bad news. As you know from watching television, the choices in programming are endlessly growing. Every time they add something like the cooking channel, the fitness channel, or the outdoor life network, another group of people becomes regular watchers of those channels. For big companies that rely on broadcast TV and its ability to get big audiences, this is a problem. How much has broadcast viewership dwindled over the years? As an indicator of mainstream popularity, take a look at how the ratings for these 7th highest rated shows have dwindled over the years. We'll go back to 1979. MASH received an average Nielsen rating of 25. In 2006, Grey's Anatomy received a Nielsen rating of 11.8. In 2010, Two and a Half Men received a Nielsen rating of just 6.1. The impact of this trend on American society and on advertisers is enormous. Back in the middle of the 20th century, when programming choices were few and large groups of people watched the same shows, it was relatively easy for large corporations to buy advertising time on network television and promote their mega brands. A media director for Colgate-Palmolive or Coca-Cola could simply pick their media slots on primetime network television, run their ads, and the big audience was assured. The networks could charge high prices, purchase whatever programming they chose, and profitably operate their businesses. But today, technologies such as cable television, digital video recorders that can skip commercials, and internet TV are dramatically affecting American viewership. As a result, the value and the price of network advertising is dropping. That's great for Pepsi and Nike, but maybe not so great for you. Network ad rates are still far beyond what the average or even the extraordinary dental practice can afford. However, there is good news. In exchange for broadcast fees, ad-supported cable channels like ESPN or TBS allow for local businesses to run advertising. These ad-supported channels charge cable or satellite providers a certain fee per subscriber, anywhere from a few dollars to a few cents, depending on the popularity of the content, and allow them to earn revenues by selling a certain amount of advertising inventory to local advertisers. This is why you might see an ad for a national or global brand like FedEx or Coke right next to an ad for the pizza store down the street. This trend we are describing is often referred to as disintermediation. It means that the intermediary, the television programmers, are experiencing a shift in their audiences, and the buyers of airtime, advertisers, must change their purchases because the large television audiences on network television simply don't exist as they once did. And while disintermediation creates a unique set of challenges for networks, production companies, and large corporate advertisers, it creates an emerging and attractive opportunity for smaller, more localized businesses that might benefit from communicating with a more targeted audience. Dental practices are uniquely positioned to benefit from this emerging trend because the cable companies have advertising inventory that they need to sell. In your local area, your cable system has scores of channels for which it has available advertising inventory. Some of those channels, such as ESPN, Fox News, or TBS, have substantial audiences that in many time slots compete with network programming. Other channels are likely to have audiences of less than 50 people. That's right. There are channels on your cable television system right now that are being watched by less than 50 people. As you can imagine, this inventory is being sold off at very cheap prices. Often you can buy advertising segments on some of these local cable systems for as little as $5 to $10 per spot. And most of the time you can buy advertising time on more popular networks for as little as $75 to $100 per spot. Are we now talking about an advertising opportunity that seems to be in your budget? Before you run right out and call your local ad sales rep, take a few minutes with us and let us give you a crash course in media planning and buying. Television media planning and buying. First, forget high school math. Many of us may struggle to remember all the things we learned in high school math classes. We feel pretty certain we understand how multiplication and addition work, and we're comfortable around basic equations. But after that, it all starts to get a little bit fuzzy. Fortunately, when it comes to media planning and buying, you can forget everything you ever knew about basic math. Because in media math, this equation makes total sense. 6 times 10,000 does not equal 60,000 times 1. That's right. 6 times 10,000 does not equal 60,000 times 1. Because an ad shown 6 times to 10,000 people does not equal the effect of an ad shown 1 time to 60,000 people. The networks will actually charge you a little more to show your ad 6 times to 10,000 people than they will to show it once to 60,000. And at first glance, you might think that getting to show your ad to 60,000 people would result in a far better return than showing it to 10,000. After all, it's a numbers game, right? And the more people who see your ad, the more people are likely to act on it. So why wouldn't you go for the ad buy that delivers 6 times as many eyeballs? Well, we'll tell you why. Let's start with a multi-million-dollar example. You may remember the dot-com days of the late 90s. Companies were fighting over internet space, where untold wealth lay waiting to be discovered. Venture capitalists and stockholders alike were wildly funding internet companies that promised to capture millions of online customers and deliver billions in profits. Of course, we know in hindsight how well that idea worked out. But you may remember that some of these companies actually chose to spend their advertising budget based on the principle that 60,000 eyeballs were better than 10,000. In fact, in 2000, 17 dot-com e-commerce and tech companies bet upwards of $2 million that putting their ad in front of 88.5 million pairs of eyes just once was going to pay off big. During the 2000 Super Bowl, hopeful upstarts such as LifeMinders.com, Epidemic.com, and OurBeginning.com spent their venture capital money on 30 seconds of precious ad space during the game. And while some of these ads may have been entertaining or even funny, we never saw them before, we never saw them since, and the ads, like the companies that paid to produce and air them, are now faded memories. When planning an advertising campaign, 6 times 10,000 is worth a heck of a lot more than 1 times 60,000. Successful advertising is all about repeat exposure. On average, you can expect it to take 5 exposures to a television ad before a particular viewer feels as though they know or recognize the advertiser. If your ad is not memorable, it will take even more. And it won't be memorable if you do what people expect, like show them shots of your front door, your waiting room, a few seconds of you, and maybe an operatory, all the while trying to speed read everything you do in your practice in 30 seconds and still have time left over to read your address, phone number, or URL. So how do you make the most out of your ads? Get the response curve working for you. When you show your ad to the same people more than once, the chances that they will respond to it go up exponentially each time they see it. This is what's called the response curve, and it's your new best friend. Here's how it works. As you buy advertising, people will begin to see your ads for the first time, and most of the time, if they've never seen it before, they will promptly forget it. Think of your own viewing patterns. You turned your television set on to see the news, or you get caught up in a movie or view some sporting event. You did not turn on your television to find a beer that tastes great, or a local restaurant, garage, or plumber. These ads are interruptive, and many viewers disregard the ads. The ads will be less disregarded if they are entertaining or interesting. As our dot-com friends found out in 2000, not even a thrilling game or the outcome hung on a last-second stretch to the end zone by Titan receiver Kevin Dyson, who came up 1 agonizing yard short, could make you remember anything that Computer.com had to say, or even that Computer.com even existed. You watched the ad, promptly forgot it, and then never heard from them again. Really, not very effective. But if you had heard from them 4 more times, you might have started to become more familiar with their business and perhaps have started to think about the benefits of their business to you as a consumer. As an advertiser, once you have established familiarity and the audience feels that it knows you, then you get the opportunity to do some really effective advertising as you come out with ads that communicate the benefits you offer, hoping to create preference in the mind of your audience. Here's a chart that shows you exactly how much response you can expect depending on the number of times your audience is exposed to your ad. And this chart is on page 77 of the written book. In the table above, you can see that you make incremental gains as you expose people to your ad the second and third time. The table shown represents the attempt of market research experts to plot out a generic level of recognition gained by exposure to your ad. Of course, recognition does not equal preference or buying behavior, but it does of itself represent a value to any business, including your dental practice. What the chart is saying is that the first time your audience sees your ad, perhaps 16% of them will feel they, quote, recognize, unquote, the company. After 3 exposures, the number goes up to 78.8%. Can you see how showing your commercial 3 times to 4 people is more beneficial than showing your commercial 1 time to 12 people? Keep in mind that interesting, surprising, or entertaining features help to heighten your audience's awareness and retention of your ad. Conversely, if your ad is generic and has nothing special, a catchy jingle, interesting visuals, or humor, for example, that makes it memorable, the curve will shift to the right, meaning it will require more exposures to achieve recognition. Making sure that you allocate enough budget to ensure optimal repetition of your ad is critical to its success. Please, before you blow $2 million on a Super Bowl extravaganza, come talk to us. As we have shown you, disintermediation offers some incredible opportunities for affordable, effective television advertising. As audiences become more localized, fragmented, and smaller, advertising prices will decline to where there will be opportunities for a dental practice to target a highly relevant audience at a cost that ensures a good return on investment. Syndicated ads, the big budget commercials with little price tags. One way to get a big budget ad at an affordable price is to purchase a syndicated ad for dentistry. A syndicated ad is shot by an advertising agency and then sold to local businesses in a number of different cities across the country. You might be surprised when traveling in another city to turn on the television in your hotel room and see a commercial for a car dealer, jeweler, or lawyer that looks very similar to one you regularly see promoting a local business in your hometown. That's a syndicated commercial. Using syndication, a local business can get celebrity endorsements, the advertising rights to popular songs or characters portrayed by professional actors at a much lower price than if the commercial had been produced directly. If you're interested in learning more about syndicated ads, the information is as close as your computer. Simply Google dentist television commercials, and you'll find a number of companies that will sell you pre-shot ads and customize them with your own name, business information, and logo. The 3 stages of a successful television ad campaign. Okay, the cost of television advertising hasn't scared you off, and you want to take the plunge and develop fresh creative instead of relying on the commercial in a can approach that syndicated advertising offers. If you plan to develop television ads to promote your practice, you need to know something about 3 progressive stages of a television ad campaign. Most successful television campaigns revolve around 3 distinct objectives: aided recall, unaided recall, and preference. Advertisers generally attempt to develop these objectives in stages. Aided recall comes first. This is the phase in which an ad viewer might not remember what the "Where's the Beef" ad was for Wendy's, but when presented with a list that includes Arby's, Wendy's, and Burger King, they'll recall that the ad was, in fact, for Wendy's. When a viewer can recall your ad with some help, it means the ad is starting to penetrate their consciousness and build awareness of your brand or business. Unaided recall is the next later phase in an ad campaign. At this stage, viewers will be able to recall the right brand when they hear the "Where's the Beef" slogan, At this point, the advertiser has managed to instill an active awareness in the viewer. Once that level of awareness has been achieved, the final phase can be undertaken, encouraging a preference for your products and services over those of your competitors. Using frequency and variety to engage your audience. One thing that you will see in the syndicated commercials, and something that should certainly be part of your television production planning, is the development of a related series of commercials. These are commercials that are recognizably part of a series, but which incorporate different ideas or content in each ad. This technique helps you build enough frequency to gain memorability, but stops your ads from becoming a boring and unwelcome intrusion into people's television watching. Remember that your ad is interruptive. No one turns on their television set because they want to hear from a dentist. They turn it on to be entertained. So the least you can try to do is incorporate some variety into each ad. If you develop a differentiated series of commercials, people will start to remember your commercials and will almost always be intrigued at what comes next. If you are going to get syndicated commercials, you might consider getting a series of commercials that communicate ideas about your practice in an entertaining manner. That way you will have content to run for a sustained period of time. Perhaps most importantly, resist the urge to try to say everything you want to say in 30 seconds. That is an incredibly short amount of time, and cramming your ad full of information and messages will overwhelm and confuse your viewers. We can remember one dental commercial we reviewed that had 26 different images. We counted in a 30-second commercial. Obviously, the dentist had a lot to say, but this is an extremely ineffective way of saying it. Limit yourself to 2 or 3 main benefits in each ad. Measuring returns on a television ad campaign. When dentists consider advertising, one of their first questions is often, what kind of returns can I expect to see? What they're really asking is, will I recoup my investment? The truth is, it's very difficult to measure the returns in this direct way. Often a television ad campaign will yield returns in terms of general awareness or recall, as described above. Most dental practices do not consider awareness or recall to be business assets in themselves, and it's difficult to measure the effect of these assets on actual sales. If you want to give patients the reasons to choose your dental practice, it is awfully hard to do in a 30-second commercial. If you want to get patients to notice you and emotionally react to your practice in a particular way, then television might be effective. In our view, television is a better tool for emotional response or branding than it is for direct response. Since most practices tend to measure return on investment in the form of short-term direct response, television is not highly utilized by dental practices, nor is it a medium that most practices consider first in choosing marketing media. What we've learned in this chapter. You've had an introduction to the 4 mass mediums: billboards, the Yellow Pages, radio, and television. We've shown you that despite their ability to reach high volumes of consumers, they are not always the best choice for every practice. Each mass medium has its own set of challenges and advantages. We've shared these with you and given you insights on ways to maximize their potential and minimize the risk of an unsuccessful campaign. Billboards. Billboards can be a relatively low-cost mass medium, but be very careful to follow all the rules when choosing locations and developing your creative content. Yellow Pages. Despite its past performance, the Yellow Pages are now a dying medium. We recommend spending money on Yellow Page ads only if you are able to purchase a spot within the first 6 ads for your category in every directory in your target geographic area, assuming you will spend less than 30% of your annual marketing budget. Measure your returns on this medium carefully to ensure you're seeing benefits. radio and television. These are very popular mass mediums, and they have the potential for great returns, but they are also risky. Only attempt radio or television ads if you have an established marketing plan that includes online, print, and direct marketing campaigns, or you have an established dental practice, or you have an established marketing budget that will stretch to cover the cost of good creative and adequate reach and frequency for your ads. What's next? Mass mediums are only part of the marketing picture. In the next chapter, we'll explore a number of marketing mediums with the potential to increase your business.